Off the gate right now, I'm gonna tell you everything ain't what it appears to be, okay, people? If you read Boruto chapter 66, if you haven't, stick around, don't worry, I'll fill you in on what went down. But the Boruto community right now is in an absolute frenzy because of the latest chapter. Boruto 2022 started off with a bang with January's chapter 66 because, yeah, seemingly, spoiler alert, Kawaki has pierced Boruto and seemingly killed the main character that we coincidentally see in the time skip as an adult. So clearly he can't possibly be dead, or he will return at some given point. But above all that, I think I know what's going on, and I'm going to explain it to you guys here in a bit once we get into the nitty gritty of this, because yeah, it was insane. A lot to digest. Borushiki on the scene, Kawaki doing what needs to be done, what might be the change in the relationship between Naruto and Kawaki, Code essentially being a bystander and being the big villain of this whole thing, which is wow. And yeah, a lot to digest. So without further ado, people, we gotta talk already. We're gonna do this. It's 2022. We gotta start it off right. That Boruto manga, and I can say this again because we're back on track. Great news! Let's do it, people. No matter how you move, get it done. 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 Okay, people, so I said it with last month's chapter. I'm gonna say it again with this chapter, dog. Like, the biggest villain we have, the true threat that we have right now, at the very least. Well, I don't know if you'd say right now anymore, considering the end of the chapter, but nevertheless, Borushiki is just way more, far more fearsome and more believable as a threat than Code. Like, honestly, one of the big things that I took away from Boruto chapter 66 is the fact that Code is just a bystander and somebody that we don't even care. Like, after a certain point, he even reneges on the damn threat that he did against Shikamaru's life to keep Naruto in place, and he's like, well, whatever. Like, hands down, Borushiki has just been that guy, and I don't know where we're gonna go moving forward in terms of Momoshiki being involved in the plot, because, yo, he feels like a nightmare. He is the only threat that makes me feel like, well, damn, how they gonna get it done with this dude on the scene? I don't feel that way for Code. I don't feel that way for Ada's intelligence. I guess I'm slightly with an eyebrow raised, so to speak, when it comes to Amado and what he truly is up to. But nevertheless, dog, things went down with Boruto 66. I mean, for starters alone, with that cover color page of Kawaki with the karma mark looking beastly, I'm not even gonna lie. His new look, his new karma mark, all of that good stuff, it just looked excellent and beautiful display. And at this point, I'm very used to, of course, like, that's the par for the course standard of getting one really cool character colored in each and every colored page that we get for Boruto. But yeah, it looked really dope. And I'm not even gonna lie, the beginning of Boruto 66 was really interesting, and it reminded me of something that I'm not too fond of, but nevertheless, the concept was the same, was where we get the flashback once again back to where Amado was manipulating Kawaki, saying, yo, you do need the strength to protect the Hokage. How you gonna take down Code? What are you gonna do? Essentially putting the idea in Kawaki's head that he needs karma in order to get these things done, and basically manipulation at its finest. And ultimately, it kind of reminded me when Ada said that, oh, so essentially Kawaki never really had a choice to begin with, because essentially Amado put the karma back on him when he put that new right arm attached to Kawaki's body. Ultimately, yeah, the karma was instilled in him anyway, so essentially he never had free will, he never had a choice. It was the illusion of choice that was presented to him, and it reminded me of something that, and I don't remember if it was the original or whatnot, but it reminded me of something from the latest Matrix Resurrection film, where essentially they said that no, there was never a choice, like, because your mind is already intrigued and piqued at that particular point to take the red pill over the blue pill, essentially. And that's kind of what Amado was presenting in front of Kawaki. Do you want to go back into the Matrix, so to speak? And I hate to reference that goddamn Resurrections film, but yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I got right there. And yeah, you know, everything, I guess, can't be bad about something just because, like, it's a shit overall production. Ultimately, there gotta be something in there that is decent or interesting. And yeah, the concept of the illusion, the genjutsu of, yeah, you have a choice. Kawaki had no choice. Ultimately, Amado was just manipulating him to put in his mind that he needs something that he may have not really needed. I mean, at the end of the day, Code looking like a bozo on the sidelines anyway. Another essentially helpless person on the scene, Shikamaru, at the very least notices that, okay, Code has some sort of allies. So this is what makes me think, because obviously things aren't done for no good reason. Either if he's going to die with passing on the message, or more than likely, Shikamaru's probably even going to survive this whole whole ordeal and be able to say, yo, there's somebody that he was speaking to the entire time. That's essentially Shikamaru obtaining the intel that, okay, Code is talking to somebody else, and that's going to pass on the message of whoever this Ada person is. Whether Kawaki returns to the leaf or not, probably not at this particular point, because Naruto's probably going to rip his jaw off his face at that, you know, my son, dog. But ultimately, yeah, Shikamaru obtaining that intel. But my God, I ain't gonna lie, as somebody that Shikamaru was my favorite character from a long time when it came to Naruto. Just, I always felt like Shikamaru. I used to write Mendokusai every freaking day over on Twitter. I gotta say, I'm very, very just disappointed that, yo, you came to help Naruto and instead you crippled him. But hey, at least he's on the field. Where the hell is oh yeah, Sasuke, yeah, what, you still trying to find a little bit of chakra? Can anybody spare some that shit is ridiculous and arguably embarrassing. Unless there's some master plan that Sasuke has been crafting this entire time. What are you doing, dog? And Borushiki notes that, yo, it's impossible almost. Like, you rarely ever see that a karma is reinstalled, essentially, once it's completely wiped out. So he's kind of in shock of this whole ordeal of Kawaki obtaining karma once more. Which, if you think about it, is even more fascinating. Somebody from the Otsutsuki clan that is, you know, one of the people that knows about everything there is to know about karma, knew less about the resurgence of karma than Amado, a seemingly human, normal person, right? Like, weird stuff, man. And then Kawaki starts showcasing several instances of, oh, dude really got like everything that Ishiki had, because first he starts throwing black rods over at Boruto, similar to what Ishiki did. Then he even starts dropping those cubes as well, and it's like, oh shit, he got everything from Ishiki minus Ishiki's personality, which that still remains to be seen. Who knows, he could somehow return, which would be very interesting, because Ishiki was, you know, pretty formidable. But yeah, as of right now, at the very least, he has all of the capabilities that we've seen Ishiki utilize in the battle against Kashin Koji, Naruto, Sasuke, all of them. Like, yeah, he got it all. And then there was something that Code noted that made me think, like, god damn, dog, what is Amado? Like, yo, they have done a fantastic job with Boruto, I'll say this, of keeping Amado's motives and all that jazz just a big question mark. We really still at this particular point don't even know if he's there for good or bad, because he's done a lot of good things, but then he's done a lot of questionable and arguably bad things, because Code is like, yo, so he got this ability, that ability, all of the abilities of Ishiki Otsutsuki. Is Amado trying to create another Ishiki Otsutsuki? Like, what's going on here? And when he said that, I wonder if he meant that just like metaphorically with the powers of Ishiki Otsutsuki, or was he meaning like, yo, he's trying to bring back Ishiki Otsutsuki, which would make no sense because he was responsible for the death of the original Ishiki Otsutsuki, you know what I'm saying? And then it all just brings me back to, is he doing this for peace or destruction? Does he come from another timeline where everything was destroyed, everybody died, and the reason why he's powering up Kawaki this much, and this is all like his design, is because he felt, yo, I gotta create the ultimate hero, the ultimate character that can stop whatever threat was facing the world. Who knows, maybe in another parallel universe or a different timeline altogether that ultimately karma can bring you back and forth from. Maybe Borushiki, Momoshiki came and destroyed the world, and Kawaki was Amado's answer to that future happening. Or likewise with the whole Ishiki Otsutsuki situation, maybe again he did all of these things with Kawaki in order to prevent future disasters that he lived through in his timeline. I know people don't like the traveling through time. It could just be different dimensions. It doesn't have to necessarily be time. It could be a dimension jump. And again, karma has shown that it is vastly very interesting, to say the least, in terms of jumping different places and whatnot. So who the hell knows, if we jump into different dimensions that looks like whole different worlds and different universes, it could also bring us to something that is similar to like time travel, but just dimension hopping. And once again, Code orders Naruto to stay still as he draws a slight little droplet of blood from Shikamaru's neck, which a lot of people were criticizing Naruto for essentially quote-unquote being useless during situations like that, which, I mean, at the end of the day, what you gonna do? This is a hostage situation. Like, at that point, okay, like, there's other parts of the chapter that I'm annoyed with how Naruto was being bitched around or whatnot, but with that, you can't throw, come on, what is he gonna do? Like, oh yeah, let me just move so Shikamaru could die, even though later on in the chapter he does anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, he's gonna be stuck there, like, dog, Shikamaru's gonna die if I do anything, so let me just keep my ass put for now until something shakes from all of this. Which, honestly, Kawaki could have just like throw a rod through Code's face or something in the middle of the whole thing, just saying. Although I guess he would have risked Shikamaru getting his neck slashed, so yeah, kind of tightrope to walk. And I ain't gonna lie, it kind of reminded me of the opening of the manga to begin with, when Boruto had asked Kawaki, oh, why you had to go this far? When Naruto asked Kawaki how far he's planning to go, it just kind of gave me that vibe as well. It's almost like, you know, taking that dialogue, and maybe when Boruto says that in their big climactic fight, Boruto versus Kawaki, it was inspired by Naruto saying that that way back when. And Kawaki's response to that was, I'll do what needs to be done to save you, to protect you. And then that gotta make you think, okay, so unless the conversations that happens in this chapter and whatever's about to happen next influences Kawaki a different way, that could very well still be the case of what he's doing in the time skip when he's fighting Boruto. It still could very well be, I'm doing this for the 7th. I'm doing this for the Hokage. I locked him up. I sent him away so that I could protect him. Again, we still don't necessarily know the true perspective of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in the Boruto versus Kawaki fight of the future. And I ain't gonna lie, some of the action is just great. Seeing Borushiki charging with the Rasengan, him and Kawaki going back and forth with it, back and forth. When the anime gets to this, they're gonna do it justice, because especially when it's really Boruto-centric characters like Kawaki Boruto and things that are original to this title and not the previous generation, they usually put the work in when it comes to Studio Pierrot. I mean, for crying out loud, Kawaki's debut when he fought against Garo was insane. Kawaki using fire breath to counter the Rasengan, and then that panel that it wasn't the greatest art in the world, but it was very reminiscent and clearly an homage to the original Naruto versus Sasuke battle from part 1, where they're standing face to face each other. It looked like, I think he had a Rasengan and he was charging him. Yeah, that gave me that vibe, except again, like I've said from the very jump, it always was almost intended for Boruto to be somewhat of a reboot, reimagining of Naruto, but in the form of a continuation. So like it mirrored certain events of the past, which, oh my god, that's what the Matrix Resurrections did. Help me! I gotta get that movie out of my mind, dog. But very clearly inspired by it, and ultimately the story has done many similar beats to part 1, and clearly the way it was shown right there, this is the reimagining, so to speak, of Naruto versus Sasuke from part 1, just with Boruto and Kawaki, and everybody's just all over the place, because technically it's not really Boruto, it's Borushiki, and Kawaki is just a ravaging maniac, but is doing it for the cause of wanting to protect Boruto's father, and who he feels is the surrogate father, Naruto. Somewhere along the way, Boruto actually starts to awaken from his other eye, the real Boruto, not Borushiki, and essentially it starts to put things into motion, and we're gonna get to it in a second, because I know in the beginning of this video I promised I'm gonna tell you guys what I believe to be going on, and we're gonna get there in a second, because Kawaki manages to pierce Borushiki with rods, and as he's about to squash him with those damn giant freaking cubes, Naruto makes a dash to save his son Boruto's body, which technically he saved Borushiki as well. But ultimately, right there where he did that, I was like, yo, dog, so Code, you're not gonna follow through, dog? You say you killed Shikamaru. Not that I want Shikamaru to die by any means, but god damn it, Code, you fucking worthless worm. Because he basically says, I'm not gonna kill this guy now. There's no point. What the hell you mean there's no point? You're just a bum. I'm sorry, dog. Like, whatever happens here by the end of this whole situation, I would be totally fine with Code being removed from the story in terms of being killed off, being picked apart. I don't care. Amado chopped this motherfucker into a million pieces and send him to the fucking Shadow Realm or some shit. Like, he is worthless. You couldn't even do, follow up on that. Not that I wanted it to as a fan of the character and just in general, like I'm bloodlusting, but do something. God damn it. You already had no trust from me to begin with, because you were just like, another one of Kara. Then again, this is also just some dude that is a fanboy of the aliens. So, but Naruto approaches Kawaki saying, enough. What are you trying to do? You trying to kill him, dog? What's going on here? To which Kawaki replies, I'm doing what needs to be done. It is do or die in this situation, dog. And Naruto's response, dog, that's my son, is something that probably stung to Kawaki. Like, I thought I was your son too. Like, wouldn't you just take this as two brothers fighting? But the fact that you're saying that's my son probably hurt Kawaki's feelings. And if Kawaki is evil in the future or whatnot, this is probably one of the origin story factors that turned him evil. Like, oh, he's your son, huh? Okay. Yeah, because even after that, Kawaki says he's a demon targeting your life, dog. Like, what are you talking about? And Naruto says, the only one acting like a demon right now is you. And that probably stung as well. It's like he's shitting on everything regarding their bond that they built over the last year of chapters. And they argue back and forth. And for some reason in my notes, I wrote once again, honestly, Code is fucking worthless. So yeah, that's in my notes. So it must be true. All Code fans out there are probably like, oh, Fanev, how could you? But like, dog, Borushiki or Code, who got you more on your toes? I'm just saying, though. And yes, that rhymed, and halfway through I noticed it was rhyming, so I kept going with it. However, Boruto awakens from his slumber, the real Boruto again, and knocks Naruto away using his palms. And at that point, it's like, okay, now the argument of dog, Naruto, you being bitched around by these children, these Otsutsuki possessed children. Now that starts to be a little bit more valid. I mean, you could argue Naruto's in shock. He don't know what the hell is going on. He don't know what to do. He just rescued his son, so now he's caught off guard of like, yo, my son is pushing me away and whatnot. So you could argue that, but I ain't gonna lie, the couple times in this chapter that Boruto just pushes him away, I'm just like, bro, you're Naruto Uzumaki, the kid that became the Hokage, the dude that had the 9-tail, like, what are we doing here? But then, see, here's where it gets a little bit more complicated with Amado again, because Boruto, this time around now, the real Boruto closes the Borushiki possessed side of him's eye and says, no, the drugs did work to a certain extent. It's a temporary fix to an ongoing situation, which sounds like Boruto's an addict, but okay. And he says, the drawback, though, is, look, I almost killed my own father. And I'm not gonna lie, again, the fact that he said that the drugs actually did do what they were intended to do, and it wasn't just Amado doing some bullshit, again, just makes me question good, bad, anti-hero. Like, I gotta stick with, I don't think he can't be all that bad unless it's just like means to an end and his end is just unjustifiably evil. But like, yo, even the drugs were technically doing what for the most part Amado said they would do. And right here, fam, right here is where I'm going to explain to you what I believe to be happening, and then at the end of the video I'll give you guys a couple of other options of what might take place and what might be the following aftermath to this insanity that is Boruto 66. Because we see the flashback to where Kawaki basically swears that he will get rid of Boruto's karma by any means. He's gonna get it done. He's gonna remove the karma, as they had that conversation several chapters ago, to which Boruto responds with, yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to go with that last resort after all. Well, I remember vaguely from their conversation they did throw around a few different ideas, and one of which was that Kawaki said like, yo, how about we just slap a karma mark onto code and you can return via code. So it could very well be that somebody there has, which it would probably be Code, and at the end of the day, if Code is trying to kill everybody, fuck him, take his body, who cares? It could be that they already implanted a karma mark onto Code, unbeknownst to him, during that big battle or whatnot, and ultimately their whole idea is, kill me, and I'm going to reincarnate in Code's body using a karma mark, and it possibly could take a couple years, and that could be what the time skip entails of. Essentially, Kawaki goes along with Code and them to make sure that the karma mark stays instilled, and ultimately Boruto can return via Code, and also he'll be Momoshiki-less. And I got a few more other ideas that we'll get to in a second, but honestly, that sounds about right in regards to what they had discussed of like, how do we get rid of, you know, Momoshiki, my karma mark, and continue without dying. But Boruto tells Naruto, yo, send my regards to mom and Himawari, yo, it's a wrap, dog. And one of the things that was said from Momoshiki was the fact that Boruto is going to lose everything. And I would argue the fact that it's Naruto that is losing everything. At the very least in this first half of the story, Naruto lost somebody that's been with him his entire life, Kurama. Now he seemingly is about to lose his son. He's essentially losing his other son, his surrogate son, to this karma mark. He's losing a lot. He's losing a lot, and I would argue that that statement was more so true to Naruto, and he might have even been referring to Naruto, and it might have been a vague statement when Momoshiki said it, that Naruto's the one that's losing everything. But once again, going back into that whole thing of Naruto is useless against some Otsutsuki possessed children, Boruto pushes Naruto again. He blasts him away using a palm technique, and I'm just like, now it's ridiculous. Like, he couldn't move because Code would kill Shikamaru. Okay, now you're getting blown away like if you're a feather. Like, you're Naruto Uzumaki. You got Sage Mode. What the And also, once again, where is Sasuke? Still nowhere to be found, huh? Like, yo, you can't sense nothing? Like, you really on a chakra hunt, huh? Either that or he better have a massive plan in all of this, because what are you doing, bro? Where are you? Unless he is a part of this entire plot to begin with, and he's in on what Boruto and Kawaki are up to, so there's that possibility. And Boruto tells Kawaki, oh, while my mind is still holding Momoshiki at bay, do it, bro. Do it, brother. And that right there, I ain't gonna lie, you genuinely know that they feel like brothers, because we've seen them together in manga and anime looking like brothers, and I love that this time around. I think Masashi Kishimoto, if he is indeed the one that's penning these chapters, he wanted to make up for some stuff that he probably felt he didn't do exactly right with Naruto and Sasuke's relationship, and that's to really showcase and demonstrate a brotherhood and a true to blue bond in full display for Boruto and Kawaki. And Kawaki pierces through Boruto's chest with his big nasty looking arm, and the chapter ends off with Boruto on the ground seemingly dead with a hole through his chest. clearly he's coming back somehow, some way. Either he's not dying there or he's coming back some way. Let's go over, again, like I said, one of the big things is that through their conversation several chapters ago, they had discussed possibly Boruto returning via a karma mark, and that's how he'll get rid of his karma from Momoshiki, by becoming a karma mark. That could very well be plausible. They could have placed it on Code during the battle. They could have confused him, and boom, that's how it's going to happen. Another option is possibly Kawaki could have somehow, seemingly, he just learned all this shit out of nowhere. Like, yo, I could hide my Otsutsuki, chakra and all this shit. They can't find me or whatnot. He figured out a way to remove Momoshiki, and it took essentially piercing through Boruto to remove Momoshiki, and maybe Boruto can still somehow regenerate, or there's some way for him to live on afterward. Or another option, which I think is probably the most silliest, is Boruto's going to be rebuilt as a Robo Boruto by Amado. Oh god, no, that's the least one that I hope would happen. I mean, if it's done right, honestly, realistically speaking, we could laugh about it now and say it's a terrible idea now, and it does sound like a terrible idea. If done right and the whole series gets remarketed and reimagined in terms of moving forward, that it's no longer Boruto Naruto Next Generations, it's Naruto Resurrections or some shit like that, or Naruto The Next Chapter or something like that, then yeah, bringing Boruto back as a character, as a cyborg, so to speak, would actually work, because we will forget all about that. It was originally Boruto's series to begin with, but they're not going to go down that path. I can almost guarantee it won't. More than likely, I'm guessing he's not dead somehow, some way. They faked it, or ultimately he's going to return via karma, possibly placed on Code. And also, I want to note that from my understanding, the next chapter closes out a volume of Boruto. So this is like the second to last chapter of the next volume. That next chapter is probably going to be another huge one, and might potentially lead into the time skip, or at the very least be one of the pillars that leads into the time skip. It could be a massive cliffhanger, and then the following chapter after that is a time skip, but either way, it probably is going to happen that way, and I can't freaking wait. Honestly, this chapter, I'm blown away that this is how we're starting 2022. I don't believe that Boruto's dead, and if he is dead, I do 1000% believe he's going to return, because again, Boruto versus Kawaki is how this all started in the future, and unless he's a robot, I think he's going to somehow be alright. But I'm curious how you guys felt about this chapter. Do you think that this is one step closer to finally sealing the deal of the massive rivalry between the two? Because again, it almost felt like it was out of love. So if that's even the vibe that they went out on, how does it lead to Kawaki versus Boruto in a massive fight to the death, if it was done in a brotherly fashion of like, Boruto asked Kawaki, kill me? Like, Naruto might not have wanted it, but Boruto said, do it. So where does that lead to animosity between the two of them? And your overall thoughts and expectations for Boruto 67. What is Sasuke doing? Will Code even look 1% worthwhile? What is Ada up to? Amado's manipulation, good or bad, or in the middle? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of the manga. I'm so freaking excited that we started 2022 off in a way better direction than 2021. 2021 was full on a year of build up and setup, and establishing almost an origin story for Kawaki's whatever motives, whether it be evil or anti-hero, moving forward. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And I ain't gonna lie, Boruto manga right now has me so optimistic for 2022's chapters, the future of the series, and where everything is going, because this was awesome. This was hype. Let's go, baby. So just go to